we got Zorga. So let's go ahead and start out with our ride line. It's a typical Zorga ride line, grade 0, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. So I chose to go with this just because this is the most advantageous ride line out of all the ride lines. As far as I understand, Eugene one comes close. I don't know exactly what it does, but that's just what I hear. But for this ride line, essentially just going up to 3 or going up to 2, you get a +2. Because you ride the grade 1, you soul blast out 1, you draw 2 cards, discard 1 card if it's in order. And then if it's not in order, you discard 2. But you don't care because you're trying to turbo into this guy. Most likely you're going to have an order because you're going to mulligan until you see an order. Doesn't matter if it's a blitz order or a normal order, but that's what you're mulliganing for. Then when you ride up to grade 2, you get that same order back that you discarded. So essentially, hey, you got it for free, and then Zorga for your first Zorga ride. And for the Zorga deck, we are going to start with grade 3s and work our way down. If you've seen a Zorga deck profile, you obviously know. They are all playing 3 more Zorgas to round them out to 4s. Zorga is a great card. That's pretty much it. He's amazing. He breaks immediately, set 1. He breaks one of the rules that was set by the game where you can use only 1 order card per turn with his ability Alchemagic or Alchemagic, however you want to pronounce it. He allows you to not only use the card from your hand, he also allows you to Alchemagic and pick a card from your drop zone, pay both costs at the same time. Then you resolve the card that you're playing from your hand first. Then you resolve the second card from the drop zone, and that card gets put in the bind zone, which comes into play later. But his other effect is an act skill. The act skill is you counterblast 1, you get to get a card from the drop zone. So if you played Grand Blue, you know how important or how valuable counterblast 1 to bring a card back from the drop zone is. Zorga is just like, he breathed new life into the game for me because as you guys have seen, I've been playing Digimon for a little bit. I haven't had much time to play much lately, but the little bit of time that I have had, I've been practicing Vanguard Overdress, and I've been doing it with this young fine fellow. So obviously, yeah. So Zorga at 4, well, 4 copies total, including your ride deck. Great. Next grade 3 that we're running is one that I don't see too many people running at all. I've actually seen only one person. I think it was Sean from Team Honey Badger or Winning Image now. Hydraulic Ram Dragon. Just because when you are using Alchemagic, you bind a card, right? And he states, when this unit attacks a Vanguard, if your bind zone has an order card, this unit gets power +5. So doesn't matter if you bound it this turn, doesn't matter if you bound it 3 turns ago, doesn't matter if it was bound because of some other reason. If it's bound and it's an order card, he gets +5. So he's an 18, which makes a really good and awkward number for your opponent. If you run, if you revive the grade 1 from the ride line, you have a 10k booster, so that's 28k. So your opponent has to drop a trigger plus something else to be able to block it. If you Persona Road, there you'll be at 38k with that same rear guard from the ride line. And it just makes it really great, really good numbers. It can make also really awkward numbers if you're not careful and you don't set up your drop zone properly or you don't set up your board properly. But yeah, there's not too much to be said about this. This card in my testing so far has been very good. So yeah, if you guys haven't tried it, go ahead and try it out because it's very similar to the grade 2 in the ride line. Next, our grade 3. The rest of our grade 3s are all just order cards, so I'll talk about them all at the same time. And you could mix up the ratios with these. Grief, Despair, and Rejection. It's basically a Persona ride for a Counterblast 1. You pick 3 units and they all get +10. It doesn't have to be 3 in the front. It could be the Vanguard, the unit boosting the Vanguard. It could be another rear guard. It could be whatever 3 units you want, but it's basically a Persona ride. So I love this card for a Counterblast 1 and a Persona ride. A lot of the times, unless you're going for game, Zorga doesn't have any guard restrict. Zorga doesn't have any extra crits. He doesn't have a restand. He just has Alchemagic. So a lot of times when the most time I see myself using this is when I'm not persona riding, because you'll lose out on that pressure. Yes, persona riding is great, and if you use this with the persona ride, it makes Zorga 33. But you also got to think of your opponent's either going to take it or they're just going to drop a PG. So you might as well make them drop at least a 15 to 20k to 25k shield by swinging for 23 instead of just having them say, okay, well, it's too big, I'm just going to take it, and then there's nothing punishing for that. So just be careful when you use Grief, Despair, and Rejection, because it is a good card, but it can be wasted out a lot. You can reduce it to 3 to put this card up to 2, but I like this card where it's at as a 1-of. I see it enough because I usually mulligan for it, but it's Cursed Soul, Squirming, and Agony. Use Soul Blast 2, look at the top 4 cards of your deck, and then you choose one and you call it. If you used it because with Alchemagic, so it has to be the card that's used from the drop zone, and then you get to call 2 units, and they both get +5. Or whatever you call out gets +5. It's pretty nice, especially in conjunction with another card that we're going to show you in a few moments. But you basically get a board for free. So, and they get power. So I believe that's all our 3s. Next, for Hendrinas. Hendrina is great. She looks like a Neo Nectar unit, but she acts just like a Grand Blue unit. The reason I say that is because on place, you can discard 3, which is just mill 3, and no bonuses for that. That's fine. You just want to get those 3 in the drop zone, because if you're on Zorga and you only have an order card in your hand, just that one order card and nothing in your drop, you can use her. Most likely, you're going to hit an order card. Hopefully, it's not a blitz order, but you're going to hit an order card. And then you'll be able to Alchemagic and start going off. Her second skill, which is the most valuable part of her skill, you retire her, and you get to not pay any soul cost. And for anybody that's been keeping track, if you have this and another card that I'm going to show you guys in a little bit, that pays soul, these will be the next time that you would pay soul costs. And since the costs are combined, you don't pay anything. You just get units on board for free. So I'll show you that combo later. But yeah, she's an amazing card. The reason why I got her all SP'd out. I suggest you guys do too, because at time of recording, she's like 12 or 13 bucks for SP. And next, for this is my little flex spot that I have for grade 2. It's Alenia. I use her to rush turn 2, because if you rush turn 2, you go ahead and you can have that spare counterblast soul blast, because Hendrina helps alleviate the soul that you're going to need later on. You can afford to go ahead and rush and call out a grade 1 or call out a grade 0 that you soul blasted or whatnot, or even like in late game, if you have Ghost Chase and you drew into your over trigger or a perfect guard and it's in the drop zone and you want to abuse it again, you have Ghost Chase in your hand, bam, use this to bring them out, boost whatever, and then when they attack your Vanguard, go ahead, with Ghost Chase, bring that card back. So that's the only reason why I'm running her at 2, because she has a place. I don't feel like, she's heavily needed. You can use her. It's a cute little gimmicky thing that you can do. But again, she's mostly for me because I'm hanging on to the Aquaforce playstyle of rushing my opponent. You can use her. And if you don't use her, then you can just add in 2 more copies of this guy, because he does the same, like just about the same thing as Hydraulic Ram. It's just Hydraulic Ram, you get the +5k as long as there's a card in the bind zone. He gets +5k whenever there's an order card that's been played that turn. He doesn't have to be there to see it, but as long as the order card was played that turn, he gets the +5. So that makes him a 15k. With the 8k behind him, that makes him 23k. Great number. If you use Grief, Despair, and Rejection, he's a 33, and again, makes great numbers. So next, our final grade 2s, 2 Ghost Chase. I was testing with 3. Ghost Chase to me is great, but I see it too much at 3. So I am trying it at 2. So far, the results have been positive. I haven't seen it too much. I haven't seen it too little. I at least see 1 per game. You have to make sure that you are aware of your timing when you want to use this, and everything will go great. Like I said, it can get you back perfect cards. It can get you back Alanias that can only be used from hand. If you want to get something else back, it can get you back PGs. It can get you back 15k guard shield. It can get you back a Zorga if you need to Persona Ride the next turn. It can get you back whatever you need, whatever you want. It got you, baby. It got you. All right. So next, 4 PGs, because new perfect cards are great. If you have 2 or less cards in hand, when you use this card, you don't have to discard. Well, if you have 2 or more cards in hand, you do have to discard. So if you only have 2 cards in hand, including this one, when you use it, and you have 1 card in hand after you put that on Guardian Circle, you don't got to pay the cost to discard 1. So that's pretty nice. That's one definite big change I loved. Next, Spiritual Body Condensation. So let's talk about this. This card is a grade 1 order. You can use it on grade 1. You're ideally possibly the only earliest turn that you can actually use it realistically if you want to rush and you don't get Alania. You can use her on turn. You can use this on turn 2. Get you back a anything that's the Vanguard's grade or lower. So if you have an Alani in the drop zone, go ahead and get it back. You have this in the drop zone, go ahead and get it back. You have this in the drop zone, go ahead and get it back as long as you got a Ghost Chase. I wouldn't recommend doing it any other time. But the main reason why I like using Hendrina and Ghost Chase along with that is because these both cost soul. If you activate this from hand, activate this as Alchemagic, you're going to pay both of the cost. After you retire Hendrina, you pay both of the costs, which is Soul Blast, a total of 3. Guess what? You don't have to, because this is the next. These 2 cards cost is the next instance where you would pay Soul, so you don't pay it at all. So then you go get you a unit on board, give it plus 5k. Then you go mill, or you look at the top 4, pick 2 units. Yes, you can run into triggers, which is the only reason why I like to run 1 of this. But you go ahead, you pick 2 units, call them to the board, they both get plus 5k. So you just got 3 units on the board, plus 15k to the board total, and you did it all for free, which is the main reason why I like Hendrina in the deck. And Spiritual Body Condensation is pretty nice. You can knock it down to 3, and you could play anything else. It really wouldn't matter. I haven't tried it at anything less than 4. But yeah, and the final grade 1, Admantis. This card is possibly like Zorga's right-hand man. You get to get plus 5k on the board to another rear guard. You can't put it on Zorga, it has to be a rear guard. Can't put it on himself, has to be another rear guard. But it is really, really good. I enjoy this card. You can bring it, like, the turn 2 play, the ideal turn 2 play is you'll ride, your grade 2. You'll ride him, and let's just say you have this in Soul, so you rode. Then you go ahead, you call this Counterblast, Soul Blast, and you ditch the Admantis. So now you have this giving this plus 5k, and this giving this plus 5k. So you got 13, you got 15, and then you got 10. So it's pretty good doing it like that. It feels great. I enjoy it. But yeah, Admantis, really good card. I'm probably not doing it justice how I'm describing it, but this card is really good. I recommend running it at 3 to 4. If any less, even in a Magnolia deck, I don't recommend it. This card has helped out. It helps out with power lines. It becomes, if you call back 2 of them for some reason because you got them off of Cursed Souls, or sorry, probably using the wrong order card. Yeah, Cursed Souls. If you get 2 of them, they can give each other their 5Ks and become 13K boosters. They can become a 26K column if you do that. You can make your, on turn 2, the turn where you called out this to make 3 attacks, you can, if you feel like it, you can just go ahead and do this, do a 28k attack. Your opponent's not really going to guard that. They usually don't turn 2, which is why I like to do the 3 attack column. So yeah, that was the main deck. Let us talk about triggers. First, we're going to get the first one. Actually, no, we're not going to do this one till last. We're going to go with all the triggers we're going to use. We're going to use 8 crit. I'm still waiting on 2 more SPs. So we do 8 crit because Zorga, again, he has no real win cons. The only real pressure he has is just trying to overwhelm you with numbers because of Alchemagic, because what you're going to be doing is you're going to be spiritual body condensation, grief, despair, and rejectioning. You're going to be doing all that to give you these plus 5k here, plus 5k here, plus 10k there. So you're going to be doing that. Then you're going to be using 3 fronts because even though, like, I'm testing this out. I tested out 6 draws before. 6 draws, 5 draws, 6 crit, 4 heal, 1 over trigger. The draws are a smaller shield, which kind of hurts, and it's a shame because this is still a combo deck, but you need to make sure you see your pieces. But you can use Hendrina because you can get your pieces back. You can get Alania and spiritual body condensation, so you can, and Zorga itself. So you have multiple ways on getting your units back. And finally, well, not finally, but then 4 heals, of course, because heals are heals. And besides that, this over trigger is the Omni trigger. Does everything. It's a front trigger. It's a heal. You draw 2, and it has a crit added onto it, along with giving 100 million power. Is the over trigger ridiculous? Yeah, it is. It is ridiculous, actually. Should it have been created? No, shouldn't have. But the likelihood of you actually hitting it is, in my opinion, not that high. Again, limited testing, but I've been testing. I've probably tested at least a good 40 or so games with Zorga, and I've drawn this more than I can even think. So I know offensively, I've hit this about maybe 4 times out of those 40 or so games. Defensively, maybe I've hit it about the same 4 to 5 times. Most of the other times I'm drawing it or milling it because of Cursed Souls or Hendrina or just drawing it off of my mulligan. So again, I'm pretty sure these people possibly, hopefully, they've done their math and they've seen why it's why it's a problem. But I don't, like I said, I don't feel like over triggers are an issue. But this Zorga deck, though, should be an issue, especially in set 2, because we're getting a lot of stuff that basically does, it gets us back order cards from the bind zone, gets us back order cards from the drop zone. Doesn't even say that, it's an order card. It has to be a normal order. It can be a blitz order too. So we can recycle our Ghost Chase, which can justify me running it down at 1 copy, because when you run a card like that, you're running +1 copies of whatever order cards are in your deck. So I enjoy that a lot. So if you guys have any suggestions, any questions, feel free, put them down in the comments below. I am going to be here and I will respond to each and every single one of your questions to the best of my ability. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between. Senpai out.